I don't know why my video stopped. Okay, so I was talking about how it was comparing Vladivostok with San Francisco. Anyways, continuing, there were many Chinese residents in a Chinatown. Most of the Catholics in those days were members of the Russian Navy and Army, but the civilian population was also growing at the port of Vladivostok, connected the huge Pacific markets with the countries of Europe via the railroad. The war with Japan greatly enlarged the military fortifications in Vladivostok, and then World War I and the Russian and Communist revolutions added chaos and uncertainty to the city's history, with many prisoners of war and interventionist forces from many countries, including Germany, Japan, Czechia, and America. Uh, Even the American Knights of Columbus were here serving the troops, and 300 Americans were killed near Skotova. I guess that's how you say that. And hundreds of orphans sought refuge from war and famine in the city. And what was there of a church building but a small wooden temporary church that would not hold 100 people. A big church had been planned and a cornerstone laid in 1908, but construction was halted by lack of funds. It says infighting, like it's all together. It's just one word. Infighting on the building committee and the communist revolution. I guess infighting means fighting within the people, like they're fighting among themselves in some way, like verbally maybe. The church was not completed, but at least made usable by German prisoners of war in 1919. All these troubles weighed on Pastor Slivovsky, and let alone the lack of priests to serve the 15,000 Catholics. Okay, I'm not reading all of this part right here. All right. The coming of the communists to power depleted the number of Catholics as people fled Russia. Doesn't that sound familiar? People fleeing Russia. All right, we're talking what year? 1920s at this point, because right here it's talking about 1923. So Catholics, as people fled Russia through China and through the port of Vladivostok, the youth were converted to communist atheism and abandoned the church. The priests were arrested and shot or exiled to labor camps in Siberia, which was the fate of the last pastor of Vladivostok parish, Father Yuri Yurkovich. Let's see. So, this, I'll just read it. In 1931, he was, no. All right, let me start earlier. It says Bishop Slivovsky was the last priest in the Russian Far East, as far as we know. He was given roommates in his own bedroom in a house near the closed church. In 1931, he was hurried to a waiting sleigh and taken to live on the porch of a house in Sedanka, several miles from Vladivostok, and forbidden to have anything to do with parishioners or to perform any public meetings or prayers. Um, I'm skipping some parts. He died there on January 5th, 1933. He was buried near the little cemetery chapel in Sedanka by parishioners. But his grave was violated at night with thieves, stole his crozier, I guess that's how you pronounce that, and bishop's ring from his body. Reburied, his grave was marked So he was reburied, but we don't know where his grave is located today. There is no trace of it, and there is no map of the cemetery where his body was buried. The family who buried him were declared enemies of the people and had to flee to Siberia. Okay, so yeah, Russia definitely hated the religious people back then. People had to flee. There was war. There was World War One. There was a war with Japan. All right. I just want to highlight those parts because it's like today. People have to flee Russia